What's good, everybody? It's your brother New Breed coming through with another live stream. And I hope y'all got y'all popcorn ready. This trade war is getting out of hand. Oh, yeah. We got some news for you, brothers and sisters. So, Walmart and Target CEO have warned Trump that his tariffs can lead to empty shelves as well as hyperinflation. And we are on the cusp of this happening. Because contrary to popular belief, the negotiations that our president is claiming is happening between him and China isn't happening, and China just put that on blast. Listen, brothers and sisters, it's about to get real out here. This is what I've been warning people about for years. The retail apocalypse is officially here, and now it's time more than ever to be resourceful and move wise out here. Now listen, the news is breaking. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to it.
Continues to defend his sweeping tariffs on foreign goods, but Tuesday he said 145% import taxes on some Chinese products would, quote, come down substantially. Earlier Wednesday, CBS News Chief White House correspondent Nancy Cortez asked Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt about trade with China.
What have these huge tariffs on China accomplished?
Leverage and ensuring the rest of the world knows that the United States of America is no longer going to be ripped off. President Trump has made that very clear, not just with China, but with almost every single country on the planet.
You know, Trump has truly caused an echo chamber with all his constituents and his underlings, and they keep repeating the same rhetoric. Listen, you know, Babylon is falling, seriously, and the country is imploding from the inside out, and it's like they're brainwashing the public, repeating the same thing. Well, the American citizens are hurting. The consumers are hurting. People are barely getting by. And now more than ever, it's time for you brothers and sisters to start being very careful with your finances. It's time to save up. It's time to move some things around, and it's also time to liquidate your assets to prepare for the storm, because the storm is coming. Listen, this recession it's here. It's inevitable that the recession comes, right? Let's go.
It actually worked because China hasn't made any concessions at all.
Have some patience and you will see.
Have some patience and you will see. CBS News White House reporter Aaron Navarro joins us now. So while the administration says have some patience, we're learning the heads of Walmart and Target warned President Trump about what his tariffs will mean for their stores. What did they say? Did it have an impact?
Lindsay, good to be with you.
So you have Target and Walmart, which that's the places that most of us shop. You know, they're warning the president that it's going to get ugly, and this can cause a lot of unrest as well as riots. Now, let's make this very clear. Trump is placed in office as a Manchurian candidate that is supposed to be ushering in the fourth industrial revolution. That's right. So yes, will things balance out at some point? Yeah, they will. But what does the fourth industrial revolution mean in this modern time? Well, that's the emergence of artificial intelligence. That is the emergence of, new jobs, but these new jobs aren't what you think they are. So make no mistake about it. This is going to get a hell of a lot worse before it gets better. And when it gets better, it's only getting better for certain people. Let's go.
What we've learned here at CBS News is that these CEOs of Walmart, Target privately warned President Trump in the meeting earlier this week that his tariff policy could impact their supply chains and potentially trickle down to the consumers with a shortage of certain goods and potentially empty shelves. Now, this price increase for consumers is something that CEOs of Target have talked about publicly in interviews, but it's, of course, notable they're bringing their concerns directly to the president. Now, the White House and the president battle back against any assertion that they are softening their approach to tariffs. But if you just look at what they've been doing, you saw.
I think it's time for you brothers and sisters to start stocking up, with certain items, not to what you would call panic spend, but certain items you should have, batteries, you want candles, you want, certain items, toilet paper, tissue, the bare minimal, seeds, non-perishable items. Don't go out here in panic. Ladies and gentlemen, don't do it. The Most High is not going to forsake the righteous. But you better be caught with it than without it. Yeah, get yourself some spring water. Do what it is you need to do, because at this point, you don't know what's going to happen. And of course, we knew that this time would come. You might want to stock up on ammo. Hopefully you've been doing this for the whole year or two that I've been warning. Hopefully you've been doing these things the whole 2 years that I've been talking about it. Right? Let's go.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent say that the relationship between the U.S. and China is unsustainable right now. He talked about
So the relationships between the U.S. and China is unsustainable. So all that time, Trump been addressing the media saying, yeah, everybody wants to work with us. They're making a deal. China wants to come to the table. China, yeah, they're prideful people, but yeah, they're going to fold. China said, look, we're not your little homies. We're not rocking with you. Stop lying to your citizens. Let them know it's about to get real flaky out there.
Escalating, and President Trump has talked about in recent days of lowering that tariff depending on cooperation with China. And we just heard in an Oval Office meeting where President Trump signed.
Ladies and gentlemen, America was made in China. Everything here is made in China. They own you. Let's go.
On some executive orders that when asked, when could these tariffs be lowered on China, you saw Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick say it really depends on them. And you heard President Trump make a little bit of news when asked if there are talks happening with China. And he said, quote, of course, they are happening every day. Now, the White
That's a lie. We're about to find that out. China is going to debunk everything Trump is saying. I'm like, wow. Trump, every time Trump says something, China addressed the media, but like, nope, that's cap. That ain't what's happening. So listen, at some point, I believe that Truth Social, the website, should be used to do a vote. Since we're in a so-called democracy, since Elon Musk and Trump allegedly want the American citizens involved in the passing of policies and laws, y'all need to be using Truth Social right now to vote whether or not the American citizens want to continue with this trade war with China, or do we want to go ahead and leave this alone? But I guarantee they're not going to do that, because Trump was propped up to do exactly what he's doing. And that's to implode the American economy, crash the stock market, usher in a new industrial revolution, bring out artificial intelligence, and bring us one step further to the New World Order. That's what Trump is here for. But let's go.
White House has not confirmed that before, if there were direct talks happening between the two big global markets. So that's certainly some news there.
When do we get a readout if there were direct talks?
Well, we haven't so far yet. And the White House is primarily...
You hear that? Were there any direct talks? No. We haven't heard no direct talks. So what that means, Trump's lying. He's a professional actor, and actors are always acting. And look, when Trump do something right, I'm going to talk about it. When he do something wrong, I'm going to talk about it. But let's get to it.
They've been talking about negotiations with non-China countries, saying that there are 18 offers on the table, that they've been in touch with over 100 countries. But certainly China is at the core of President Trump's, quote, reciprocal tariffs. But they have not given the readout yet on how those talks are going.
President Trump also signed executive orders Wednesday in his efforts to remake higher education. What should we know?
Yeah, a handful of things. One of them expanding artificial intelligence.
There we go. Bingo. You got that right. It's all about expanding artificial intelligence. To do what? Replace our jobs. So all these new jobs that Trump is talking about is going to be available will actually be available for robots. What I'm trying to explain to you, brothers and sisters, is you better start learning AI. You better start learning, the mechanics of these robots, because those are only jobs that's going to be available. If you want to be involved in the city life, data processing jobs, that's going to be replaced with what they consider a higher form of intelligence. You better start learning the game. If not, you better start gravitating towards nature and learning how to be agricultural. You better start learning how to, till soil and learn some survival tactics, because this is the new brave new world that we're coming into. Even security jobs and police forces will be ran by robots. Real live RoboCop. But let's go.
Use in early education, setting up a White House initiative for historically Black universities and colleges, something that President Biden also made a priority during his own administration. But one order in specific talks about the accreditation system and potentially molding and changing that. Now, the accreditation system, or organizations that examine curriculums for colleges and universities to see whether they meet certain standards and can receive federal funding and tap into the federal loan system. The White House is looking to mold this, go after third-party organizers who they say are, quote, using woke ideology to accredit universities. And
woke ideology. So they're passing more laws. There's been executive orders that were signed as of late to get rid of woke ideologies in the colleges. So that more than likely involves critical race theory, anything regarding history. I believe that's what they're going to do. Anything regarding slavery, anything regarding what we've been through. All of our martyrs and revolutionaries are more than likely going to be X'd out of the history books. And that was my issue that I have with Republicans. The Democrats, they like to pander to us using our history. But the Republican Party likes to just remove our history. Instead of slavery, it'll say indentured servitude, because that's what they do. They're all white supremacists. Make no mistake about that. But let's go.
Instead of merit and performance, it's just another example there of the White House looking to reshape higher education and federal government.
They're going to reshape higher education. Why? Because they don't want you, brothers and sisters, to know where you came from. Straight up.
Its role and potential control in that space.
Elon Musk says he will soon spend less time in Washington. Now, we should remember he's a temporary employee with special status.
Well, a temporary employee with a special status is Elon Musk, and he's ahead of the Department of Government Efficiency. So once his role is done, we're helping to curate an AI environment. Then, he's gonna move on to his next line of duty, right? So they just created this position for Elon just to fulfill his purpose, right? And then he's going to go do some other pinky in the brain ass, I'm here to take over the world, X-Files ass ish. We got to do that one time for Elon Musk, because that dude ain't human. Let's go.
He's always going to work until May. But he made this announcement on a Tesla earnings call. What's the significance of that, and will he still be doing any government work?
Yeah, it comes as Elon Musk himself acknowledged on that call that his work with Doge is causing, quote, a natural blowback to Tesla, which has seen its stocks plummet or drop.
And by the way, double tap your screen to get the likes up. You know what I'm saying? This is one of the most controversial shows on YouTube, and we bring it to you live and direct. This is one of the most exhilarating public or political analyst shows that you're going to catch. But let's go.
Since December. And President Trump actually was asked about this earlier this hour. He called Elon Musk, quote, a tremendous guy, said he was always going to leave and ease out at this time. He talked about him kind of in the past tense.
Yeah. So, he's probably going to go to the nether realm somewhere and be with his robot girlfriend. He just came to, be involved with government. And then he goes marries an AI lady and he lives happily ever after and ride off into the sunset. So that's what's going on with this. But anyway, or live in some damn underground facility where he could just be with all his robot friends and talk to his aliens, because I believe Elon is a half-breed reptilian shapeshifter from planet Nubaru. I'm being facetious, but real talk, this is crazy. Let's go.
And Musk himself has said that Doge has done the work of ingraining themselves in federal agencies. So still expect the work of Doge to continue, despite Elon Musk saying he will take a step back.
Aaron Navarro, thank you.
He should have never been able to take a step forward, but let's go.
Democratic attorneys general in 12 states have filed a lawsuit against the Trump administration seeking to block his new tariffs on foreign imports. The suit was filed Wednesday evening in the U.S. Court of International Trade in Washington, D.C. In the filing, the attorneys general write in part, quote, "The president has no authority to arbitrarily impose tariffs as he has done here." CBS News Money Watch correspondent Kelly O'Grady joins us now. So, Kelly, what are these attorneys general in 12 states arguing here?
So I was just looking at the suit, and basically they're saying that Congress has not given the president the authority to do this. And then specifically, he used the International Economic Emergency Powers Act. And
wow. So, Congress wasn't in agreement. Most U.S. citizens and consumers are not in agreement. It just seems that at the end of the day, we are going into a dictatorship or a totalitarian government where, people are just going to serve Trump. Here it is. He has the power to destabilize the world economy right now just by something he says. He's able to manipulate the stock market just off something that he says. And that is rather alarming in the day and age that we're living in, because that shows you that America is ready to pretty much, have a dictatorship. They're ready for it. The people are not fighting back. The people are not awake. And he's ruining the last bit of wokeness that people have. Let's go.
And this suit is arguing that the stipulations within that act were not met for this to.
That's what I said to James Hilton. Sounds like inside trading to me in the highest form. I mean, sheesh. For real. I wonder why that's not under investigation. And by the way, being woke is good. That means you're conscious. But they use the Democratic Party to sully what wokeness is. They turn it into something, that's wicked. Anything that is debauchery and filth, they equivalated that to wokeness. So now when you hear somebody saying they're woke, they have inverted the meaning so they can now target it. No, you want to be woke. To be woke means to be conscious. To be conscious means to be socially aware. They don't want you to be aware. Let's go.
To be called an emergency to impose these tariffs. So that's what they're arguing.
It sounds similar to California's suit.
It's exactly good memory. It's very similar. New York is one of them, and Governor Kathy Hochul, she shared this statement. She said his tariffs are unlawful, and if not stopped, they will lead to more inflation, unemployment, and economic damage. Actually, I'm sorry, that was Attorney General Letitia James.
And this is the truth. And now Walmart ain't finna have no loaves of bread, no toilet paper, and all of that. Same thing with Target. Why? Because a lot of things are coming from where? China.
What they're saying is this is causing economic chaos. And so that's really the harm part of the suit, that you're going to have so much inflation. And so that's sort of the argument. What comes next? The White House will be able to respond. Then there's sort of this discovery phase. And then if this were to ever get to trial, a judge needs to decide if the suit could actually go forward.
I mean, part of that turmoil has been some up and downs we've been seeing in the markets. We know the markets rallied this morning, Wednesday morning, as Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent highlighted opportunities for the U.S. and China to work together. Let's go ahead and play some of his remarks.
China needs to change. The country knows it needs to change. Everyone knows it needs to change. And we want to help it change because we need rebalancing too.
Man, listen. Listen, white people, I love y'all, but y'all got to talk to y'all leaders. I know that these people have a lot of pride. I know y'all, there's a lot of pride going on here, right? Look, China's not hearing none of that. China not hearing that from the quote unquote white man. They're not hearing that they need to change. They've been around 5,000 years. America been around, what, not even 1,000 years. America is a baby compared to China. China, it will be considered an ancient civilization. They're going to be here after America, and they were here before America. And it's something about this entitlement, this white privilege where they think they can tell everybody how to run their country. And it's that lack of respect right there that's going to turn the entire world against America. I mean, I'm just keeping it a buck with y'all. Listen, wake the people up. Thank you for the contribution. Says peace and blessings. AI blockchain will be the new normal. Other countries already have it. America is backwards. Spiritual technology is real. I agree. That's a fact. Even the AI that you see with the Tesla bots, that is spiritual technology, because a lot of that is disembodied spirits, souls casted into jinns or hunks of metal, inanimate objects carrying jinns. Let's go. Let's go, though. I don't want to go on that diatribe there because I go in on that, but let's go.
If they want to rebalance, let's do it together. This is an incredible opportunity.
He also said the IMF and the World Bank are not meeting their mission. They're falling short of their missions. What do you make of his comments?
I'm glad to hear that Besson and the White House do seem to sort of have their story straight, if you will, because we are sort of hearing that same messaging that there are the potential for deals, but China has there has to be a rebalancing of trade. The thing that I did take heart, his speech, he said, America first does not mean America alone, that we want to work together. And so you did see markets respond, but I will note we didn't see them close on their highs. There was a little bit of a pullback because regardless of, even if negotiations do happen, trade deals take months and months to make happen. And we don't have any concrete, tangible thing on the table right now.
There's nothing concrete on the table, but the only thing that we could be sure of is that, more inflation is going to occur. And now, you got Walmart. For those just joining, you got Walmart and you got Target. They're warning the president. They're telling you how real it's going to get. And I'm going to tell you now, you don't want to get caught up out there doing things last minute. I don't believe that this warning is going to be on the table much longer. If they don't come to a conclusion and a trade deal, it's going to get real. I don't believe that the CEOs of Walmart and Target are warning the president for no reason. They're not warning them for no reason. And it doesn't seem that the United States and China are in any real communication right now. So it is what it is. Let's go.
Talk Tesla. Those shares rose more than 5% Wednesday. We just mentioned Elon Musk, allergy season, saying that his time spent running Doge will drop significantly in May. He's still going to be maybe sort of dip a toe in there. They just announced, while you were listening to the call, 71% profit drop in the first quarter. How significant is that?
Damn.
I mean, EV sales in general are up, right?
Right. The EV market has stalled a little bit. There are issues where you have American companies competing against China. There are structural issues within the market, but specifically with Tesla.
Please, ladies and gentlemen, double tap your screen to get the likes up. It's highly important that you participate. Let's go.
This was sort of borne out all of the brand issues they're having and consumers drawing back. What I do take heart in, though, at least for Tesla's future, is that investors didn't seem to care. The stock popped because I think what they took was, you're going to take a step back from Doge and you're going to focus more on Tesla.
Do investors just hear what they want?
Yeah, that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to go back to what he's been doing, right? Now, I want to show y'all something here. Because contrary to popular belief, China says it's fake news that there's been any communication with them. China says it's fake news. China fires back. No, we ain't been talking about nada. Whatever y'all's president telling you, he a bold-faced ass a lie. Is what China's saying. And that we're not coming close to doing no deal, none of that. Like, I told y'all this at the beginning of this trade war. China is about to be the world's next superpower. This is not something I'm just throwing out there. Now, there's scripture on this. There's scripture that tell us that China will follow the way of the eagle. It will follow a democracy. And I'm paraphrasing right now, but if y'all know the scripture I'm speaking of, feel free to share it. And they will reach the same fate as America. Make no mistake about it. China will succumb to the same fate as America once America is destroyed, because they're going to try to inherit the same spirit of as America. But make no mistake about it, they will be the new superpower. And this is how we know we're getting very close to Babylon being judged. We at home stretch. We're there. We're on the cusp of this thing changing. Now let's get into it.
China insinuating today that President Trump is lying. Just this moment, a spokesperson for China's foreign ministry.
Damn. China said they lying. We ain't doing no business with them. I mean, sheesh.
Saying that as far as he knows, China and the United States have not held any consultations or meetings or negotiations on tariffs. And the idea that China and the U.S. have been engaged in talks, which President Trump has been asserting, is, quote, fake news. But President...
Damn. So you know what I think? I think Trump is going to fold. You know, he can act like he this fearless leader and all that, but either he going to fold or this is part of the agenda from the shadow government. They want this to go down like this because this is wild. China's saying these are lies. We ain't negotiating nothing. And then meanwhile, the retail apocalypse is about to take place. Target and Walmart is warning the president like, yo, what are you about to do? Because it's going to get real out here. And when it gets real, you can look out for the purge because it's here. I hope you're ready for the looting. I hope you're ready for Babylon falling. I hope you got your ammunition. I hope you've been shadow boxing out here. I hope you've been learning how to fast. I hope you've been stocking up certain essentials. Yeah, you give it a few weeks from now, you talking about empty shelves. And they acting like they having negotiations with China to stop this, but they're actually not.
President Trump repeated his claim. Here's what he said when asked about it this morning.
Clarify with whom the U.S. is speaking with China. They're saying it's fake news that trade talks are happening.
Damn, they asked them straight up.
Well, they had a meeting this morning, so I can't tell you. It doesn't matter who they is.
No. No. So China says they're not in negotiation. He says, well, they had a meeting. They had a meeting this morning. I ain't telling you who they are, but somebody had a meeting with some Chinese guy that work at the carryout, bro. Somebody in America talked to somebody in China. Somebody in America went to the carryout and they was politicking over three chicken wings and fried rice. That's right. 3 chicken wing with the fried rice. 3 chicken wing with the fried rice. I said 3 chicken wing with the fried rice. Had a whole conversation. He ain't saying who. Somebody. Anybody. Man, listen, bro. This ain't good. This ain't good. Let me see. Be more, get more says, bro, this is the best president within the last 50 years. What does that say? Is that supposed to be a compliment? Look, I mean, what does that even mean? Do you know what happened the last 50 years? I mean, y'all be on this make America great again. It wasn't great for the last 50 years. What time period was America great to you? Anyway, let's go, man. Y'all not hearing me, man. It's just too many people want to idolize and defend Donald Trump, man. It's too much of that. Look, I would have voted for him too, but I don't like voting. I would have voted for him too if I didn't know that this was a Hegelian dialect. Because I damn sure wasn't voting for Kamala Harris. But come on now, y'all. Y'all know this ain't right. Y'all know this ain't right. Look, Blaine says I'm a stupid Negro. I mean, you see how these guys show their true colors. Why I gotta be all that? You see how those on the strong right always show who they really are. But see, look, let's go. Let's talk about it.
We may reveal it later, but they had meetings this morning, and we've been meeting with China.
China said y'all haven't been meeting.
And so I think you have Jeff as...
Oh, it's okay, because, I am removing y'all silently. My moderators, y'all know what to do. Let's go.
Usual. I think you have your reporting wrong.
We should note that the communist Chinese government has a long history of lying. Although...
So now they're trying to say China lying. So now Chinese government got a long history of lying. So what does America have a long history of doing? Telling us the truth? So America has a long history of telling us the truth. Yeah, the government just been batting 10 out of 10. Everything been open and transparent. The moon landing was real. They don't know who killed Tupac and Biggie. They don't know where the pandemic came from. Oh, they just been telling the truth. They didn't lie to the North American Indians and tell them that we're just going to celebrate Thanksgiving. They didn't give them smallpox blankets. That's what we saying right now. They didn't eradicate these people and take their land. They just told the truth. Oh, they just been telling the truth about everything. Those drones that was in the sky a few weeks ago. The drones that was in the sky a few weeks ago, and they told you that they didn't know what they were, and American airspace ain't finna tell you what they were. They were being totally transparent. But China, who is operating under communism with a dictator, is gonna lie. They got a whole dictator. What they need to lie for? Man, I tell you what, man. You got to use your mind, deductive reasoning, critical thinking. That's why I would love to see the American citizens vote on Truth Social. Do we keep up this nonsense, or do we, the people, get a chance to speak up and say, you know what? We don't want this trade war anymore. Yeah, why the hell would a dictator lie? If you go against him, he can, what is his name? Xi Jinping? You go against him, he gonna cut your damn feet off. The hell are you talking about? Lie for what? He can get on there and tell you, he can demand his people to say, look, you're gonna refer to the sky as red from now on, or I'm gonna snatch you up out of your homes. He can do that in China. No, only under this democracy, you're gonna hear a whole lot of lies. Man, come on, man. Let's go.
Anyway, while the president continues to assert that negotiations are very active with China, it appears the U.S. is no closer to striking any sort of trade deal. What may be even more telling is that U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said yesterday that it could take 2 to 3 years to fully rebalance trade with China, which they
2 to 3 years? Huh. Man, it's going to get real.
They say is the goal, or at least one of the goals of this tariff situation. Let's start our coverage today with CNN's Caitlyn Collins at the White House. And Caitlyn, first of all Jeff was doing there was quoting what the Chinese were saying, and he was quoting them accurately. What is the Trump administration telling you about this back and forth between China and President Trump?
Yeah, Jake, that wasn't some anonymously sourced report. It was the Foreign Ministry spokesperson and the Commerce Ministry. We're hearing from them on the record in this regard. Now, maybe there's some nuance here in who is doing the negotiating, because the president was saying that the teams were meeting today, the U.S. teams and Chinese officials. He declined to say which members of the team were going into.
Because he lying. He declined to tell you who meeting. The leaders of their country said, who the hell they meeting up with? They're not meeting with the president. of China, or I don't know, it's not called a president in China, it's called something else. They're not meeting with him. They're not meeting with any of our underlings. They're not meeting with anybody.
That he said maybe he would reveal that later, but did not ultimately say. And essentially what Chinese officials had been saying in response to the president saying that there were active negotiations.
Man, that's some embarrassing stuff, bro. You sitting here, you're the president, the so-called leader of the free world, and you're telling the American citizens that, I'm meeting up, we're coming together with a deal. The prime minister is what it's called. We're coming up with a deal and everything is cool. And then Chinese government say, that's a lie. That's fake news. And then to show you how China is bossing up, the media kept saying, they used Trump's own slogan, fake news, against them. It's like, yeesh, that's gangster. Nah, that's fake news. We're not trying to hear none of that. Matter of fact, we already reporting y'all to the UN. We already going to the other world leaders, and we already booting up against y'all. What are you talking about sitting down? China's past that. They over there trying to trump up charges of bullying from the world powers. That's what's happening right now. And Trump's still lying. He's still lying. And you still got these people who are just idol worshiping him, and they're supportive no matter what's happening. I mean, come on, man. And I know a lot of you conservatives, y'all angry with me right now. I get it. But welcome to my platform. You may learn something over here. See, me, I don't pick a side. I just go right down the middle, man. Let's go.
It's happening every day is that's not how they would describe it. No active negotiations, much less anywhere close to an agreement between the United States and China. And so that's really the question here in terms of what this looks like and whether they're actually making any real progress. We've seen Wall Street looking at the president's comments. Anytime he strikes even a little bit of a softer tone on China.
Double tap your screen because they keep on knocking people out the room. If y'all look at what's going on in the chat, it is crazy because they don't want this message out. So, ladies and gentlemen, double tap the screen. Get the message out. Paradigm Swift, thank you for the $5 support, says, white people too fixated on this Carmelo Anthony case instead of addressing the oligarchs that's selling this country upstream. Wow. Man, that's very true. That's very true. We need to be worried about what's going on in our government. We need to be worried about, not even worried. We need to be addressing it. We need to be addressing it. Yes, some dude with a mustache says even Xi Jinping is using a Boeing 747 and China already has a Cosmic 919. Wow. From what I heard, China rejected Boeing shipments. And they don't even want Boeing going over there, which also put a lot of people out of jobs on the Bible Belt because Boeing is very popular down south. And a lot of people work at Boeing. Let's go.
The numbers go up, but there's a real question of what that looks like. And we're starting to see people warning about it. The longer this goes on, the more damaging it could potentially be. We saw that from Republican senators. We saw it from people like Ken Griffin, the billionaire, who is one of the Republican Party's biggest donors, if not the biggest donor. And so that's really the question here is this seems to be getting to a situation where it's the United States and China seeing who is going to blink first. One thing that has been made clear at the White House is they would at least like them to blink at the same time. But
man, pride cometh before the fall, man.
Obviously, Jake, that's still an open question at this point.
You aware, Caitlyn, of any trade deals that the White House has unquestionably made progress on?
The only thing that we heard today that stood out was the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent saying inside the Oval Office that he believes South Korea is actually moving a lot faster than.
Wow, somebody said, bro, I just checked my Temu cart and it moved from $55 to $69. Yeah, man, that's that inflation. We ain't hit hyperinflation yet, but that's that inflation. That's real talk. And I mean, like the Bible says, it's going to come a time where a loaf of bread is a day's wages.
he expected. As he described it, he said South Korean officials brought their A game to the negotiations, and he expects them to have a memorandum of understanding. Now, of course, Jake, getting to that point and having a top line is nowhere near the same thing as having an actual trade deal, which is incredibly complicated and layered, hammered out. And so that's a key area to watch. He seemed very hopeful and optimistic about that. But it is certainly something to watch, especially as the president put the number at 90.
Yeah, a lot of people about to be checking. Look, don't leave the show and go check your Amazon cart right now. People are like, hold on, let me go ahead and cash out now. I mean, it's getting real out here, but don't panic. Don't panic. You know what I'm saying? Only thing you should be doing is living holy. That's right. Being steadfast, walking upright. Be careful what you do out here. You know, be careful how you spend your money. Start moving things around. Stop just frivolous spending. You know, be wise. That's all you can really do.
The countries yesterday that the Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick is speaking to, Lutnick himself saying that number as well. Obviously, that's a lot to do in 90 days, Jake, with the clock already counting.
With me now.
So he got 90 days, and then after that, the rest of the world powers are going to come back around full surface, and then they have to negotiate more deals regarding the tariffs. So, you know, pretty much the majority of this presidency, we're going to be having issues with this tariff thing. The next 4 years, you know, I can predict that in the next 4 years, you're going to see major changes, some for the good, some for the bad, right? But a lot more for the bad than good. Somebody says, I say, stop crying about tariffs and let Trump fix our country. Well, the only issue with that is Trump can't fix our country. Only God can fix our country. Ooh. The Bible says if he was going to save Babylon, he would already did it. See, if you're not a God-fearing man, or you're not educated within the scriptures, you don't know that. Trump is now your God. Trump ain't my God. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is my God. And he said he ain't going to save Babylon. And the reason being is because they are not doing right by the children of Israel. And I'm talking about the real children of Israel. You know, those who was placed in captivity, those who was placed in cargo slave ship and sold to the highest bidder across the four corners of the earth. The people that built this country who never got a comprehensive plan, those are God's people. And since they will not rectify what they have done, they will be punished immensely. And this country is cursed because it was built upon blood. Right? Now, I know that's not something that is real easy to digest, but it's the truth. And it's best that you stop that racist mentality that some of y'all got and grab a hold of one of God's people and make sure that you're elevating them. Because when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. When the righteous are in leadership, the people rejoice. Now, you can be in doubt. You can be in denial all you want, but there's a reason why you all are watching. It's a reason why some of you all just happen to click on this video, and for whatever reason, you sat and listened. Because listen, before this country falls, everybody got to be warned. Everybody got to be warned to what's to come. Consider this your warning. Let's go.
To discuss is Joe Moglia. He's the former CEO and chairman of TD Ameritrade. Joe, thanks so much for joining us. So turning back to the conversation we were having with Caitlyn. Thank you so much. Turning back to the conversation we were having with Caitlyn Collins about this back and forth about China and the U.S. and whether or not the trade negotiations are happening. So China's denying it. President Trump is saying it's true. How does this back and forth affect them?
Let me respond to this person. Michael says most Israelis were from the Middle East and not from Africa. We're not talking about Israelis right now. We're talking about the children of Israel written of in the Bible. We're talking about the 12 tribes of Israel written of in the Bible. We're not talking about Israelis. We're not talking about a land that was given, to a certain demographic of people via war. World War II, they declared some bill that gave these people land based on something that happened to them. That's not biblical prophecy. I'm not talking about those people. We're not talking about the people who converted into Judaism. We're not talking about Russian Khazarians who converted. There's a book called The 13th Tribe. You need to read that because they're not us and we're not them. That book written by Arthur Koestler called The 13th Tribe is the people you're talking about. I'm talking about the people in the Bible, right? Let's go.
The market at all.
I think if you look at what took place today, Jake, the markets were up. So it looks like the market, I think, excuse me, is used to hearing China lie about things, and they're used to hearing the president exaggerate about things. So whatever took place today, the markets responded very, very positively. Now, from a longer term perspective, if the tariffs are going to continue for a long period of time, the probability of a recession becomes very, very real.
I want to play something that Citadel CEO and Donald Trump mega donor Ken Griffin said yesterday. Keep in mind, this is a quote from somebody who is a huge supporter of President Trump. Roll the tape.
Yes.
Right. The United States was more than just a nation. It's a brand. It's a universe.
Now, this was said at the World Economic Forum. Now, he said the United States is what? Hear what he just said, because I already told y'all a while ago that the United States is no longer a country. It is a corporation. Let's go.
More than just a nation. It's a brand. It's a universal brand.
And that's what it is, a universal brand. The Bible describes it as being a harlot. You know, all the other countries wax abundantly rich off her delicacies, and then they go back home. So America is not a country, it's a whore. And this whore is being used by other countries. Now it's going to come a time where nobody is going to purchase from America. And that's when it actually collapses and things get real serious. Because the book of Revelations tell you that there'll be a time that the nations of the earth will not buy the goods from Babylon. And when that happens, it's all but over.
Whether it's our culture, our financial strength, our military strength, America rose beyond just being a country. It was like an aspiration for most of the world. And we're eroding that brand right now.
We're eroding that brand right now. So somebody very close to Donald Trump at the World Economic Summit, he's saying that, look, this is not good. We're not in a good position right now based on these tariffs. Let's go.
Brady, do you think President Trump is damaging the brand of the U.S. and the U.S. economy? And do you think that's signaling to the world that the U.S. is no longer a safe place to park investments? As
America's no longer a safe place to park investments. And that's the beginning of people not doing business with us. And if you don't have commodities, you don't have no power. New Glip, thank you for the contribution, my brother. Says, that's why you can't skip the chapters in Genesis about nations. It tells the history of who is who. Exactly. But a lot of these people who just come over here, instead of listening and getting educated, they take everything they learned in Sunday school from their pagan, demonic preacher, and they just run with it. They're not really used to a person of my ethnicity actually being well-versed in scripture as well as being educated on history. But, you know, they always stick around and learn something. So, you know, I love y'all too. You know what I mean? Y'all get it eventually. A lot of the things I'm saying, you'll find out later on that I'm right. And that's all praises to the Lord above that, you know, I can utter these things. But anyway, nonetheless, let's continue. Thank you for the support, New Glip. Let's go.
As we've seen with the bond market going down.
I think I have a lot of respect for Ken. I think there's certainly some validity into that. I think that my perspective on this is that the president is a narcissist and he wants to look good and he wants
called the president a narcissist. And I can agree with that.
To win. And I think he brags about being a great deal maker. And he looks at the stock market as, going back to 2016, as a very real indication of what his success has been.
Let's make this clear. You don't make it to the office of president unless you done some shady, you know, diabolical, insidious things, bro. You don't make it in the Oval Office unless you are on something that is, you know, treacherous. You don't make it a president unless you schemed and scammed and done certain things. That's just what it is, man. Straight up.
So that type of personality, I think there's a pretty good chance that he's using the tariffs as a negotiating ploy to be able to bring people to the table. And if he gets anything out of that.
Be more, get more says, bro, God is on his side. What God? What God is on his side? Inform me.
he will be able to claim a series of wins. If indeed he's able to do that, I think he backs off, and I think we're okay. If he's not able to do that, there's going to be an issue. I don't know if our brand is suffering, although I do think a lot of other countries are annoyed at us because of the president and because of the tariffs.
So we've been talking to small business men and women all over the country since this tariff thing started, just to hear what they think. Some of them love Trump, some of them not so much. Some of them love the tariffs, some of them not so much. One thing that they all say is they're concerned about stability and the need for stability and predictability in the markets so that they can do long range and long-term planning. Do you share those concerns?
Yeah, I do. I mean, we don't have that now, but kind of the point I was making a little while ago, I think there are a lot of reasons to be bullish, but it's long term. You've got a great impact with regard to AI. You've got you've got deregulation. You've got lower taxes. You've got an accommodative Fed. You've got a business oriented.
Well, the taxes are about to be done away with. We're coming into a social credit system, as well as, you know, we're coming into a system where we're going to have less control, and there's going to be less goods and services, and there's going to be less options. So everything will be so generic, man. America's going to be so boring in the future, man. The way they're going about things, man, America's going to be the most boring place in the world, man. It's going to be like no options, no storefronts, really. It's just like, it's going to be so robotic. Like, it's going to be just uninteresting. And that's what I can foresee going on with this, man. Let's go.
Administration. But so therefore, if indeed my perspective on this is accurate and he's using these for negotiating ploys, then we could get this behind us over the span of the next 6, 12, 14, 16 weeks. If we do that, I think we're okay. If we don't do that, we're going to have a far more significant issue. But if we don't get it fixed, there's going to be a problem. So I believe we're going to get this.
Yeah, we're going to be living in a world where they're going to be flying damn pizzas to your house with drones. You ain't going to know who made the damn thing. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have to check your temperature on apps. And if your temperature is too high, they're going to be, you know what I'm saying, sending certain units to your building and to your homes to involuntarily, you know, separate you from the public and quarantine you. That's what kind of world, this is the makings of, bro. You crash the economy, you bring some chaos, and then you bring order out of it. They've been telling you what they've been doing or planning in every movie you see. This is what's going on. It's a whole plan to strip away freedoms. This is how these people react. Problem, reaction, solution. Just like the Songbird movie. That's exactly what's taking place.
It's fixed.
Yeah, I guess the only concern is, having listened to President Trump quite a bit, just it's my job. He seems to really believe in tariffs, not just as a short-term negotiating tool, but as a long-term economic strategy. He looks at the McKinley era as successful, not because of the Industrial Revolution and not because of mass migration and no regulations, no minimum wage, no OSHA standards, et cetera. He looks at that era as successful because of the tariffs. If that is his view and the tariffs are here to stay as long as he's president, what do you think then?
Then I think we're going to have a recession. I think if that's specifically his view.
That's right. We having a recession.
But the reason why I mentioned in the beginning of the segment, is that the guy's a narcissist and he wants to look good. And it wasn't an accident that a week ago, when the S&P was below 5,000 and we had the 10-year note, really, really significantly higher. You have Jamie Dimon complaining about what's going on. You have a couple of his friends come to the White House that were serious business leaders that kind of say, be careful here. He changed his mind. He changed his view on a lot of things, and we had a significant reaction the other way.
Richard Burns says, why didn't he say all this crap with Biden? Well, Biden didn't implement tariffs. Biden made a lot of mistakes now. I don't like Joe Biden. Weekend at Bernie's, I'm glad he's out of the office. But he's just speaking about, the consequences for these tariffs.
I don't think he's going to allow himself for too long a period to look bad. And because of his personality, I think that there's a reason. There are good reasons for that to work out that way.
China insinuating.
Yeah, I mean that's real talk. The news is out, man. Hold on, there's one more news brief I want to show you because all of the news broadcasts are on the same page right now. We're gonna play a little bit of this. It says a reality check on Trump's trade deals. Right? And I'm gonna tell you, every president more than likely is narcissistic. You don't make it to that Oval Office unless you done something wild, man. Somebody said, I thought you were smarter than that, Bree. Listen, I'm smart enough to know that eggs are still sky high. I'm smart enough to know that Trump and Elon, they spent $500 million on artificial intelligence, and that don't make sense when the people are suffering. I'm smart enough not to put my trust in man. I'm smart enough to not trust that a president is going to save a country that's prophesied to fall. I'm smart enough to prepare. I'm smart enough to move accordingly. I'm smart enough to pull myself up by the bootstraps and understand that nobody's going to do anything for us, especially no damn politician. I'm smart enough to actually see what's happening. Now, I know that the Trumpsters are in the building, but y'all doing a whole lot of glazing for Donald Trump. But is it really helping your situation personally? Is it really fattening your pockets? Aside from a couple of you all who may be small business owners who may got a couple tax breaks. Hell, I benefit off of those tax breaks too. But I'm looking at the greater good and how it's affecting the world. I'm looking at how it's affecting the American consumer. I'm looking at the fact that in the future, there's not going to be any real jobs. I'm looking at the fact that in the last 3 to 4 years, that we had less 140,000 less farms that's producing our vegetation and livestock. And this president of ours decided that he was going to do the most massive migrant deportation in history when these are the people who run the farms. I'm smart enough to know how dumb that is. I'm smart enough to understand that this has to be being done on purpose to destroy America. So, before you keep throwing y'all's insults out there because you've been juiced up on a good old boy doctrine. You've been juiced up on Fox News. You've been seeing on Easter when Trump did his Easter prayer. You seen the black guy walk into the diner with all of the good old boys, and they just talking about togetherness. And you think that America is about to be, is about to rise like the phoenix through the ashes. It may only rise for those who refuse to unplug and whoever wants to be fully indoctrinated and inseminated. But I ain't finna do that. I go against the grain. You can't sit up on the news and tell me. You can't sit up on the news and tell me everything is good when everything ain't good. Eggs are lower than they ever been. We got eyeballs. We got eyeballs. Eggs are not better. Everything is better than it ever been. No, I can see. No, it's not. Y'all are under hypnosis. Y'all are under some type of spell, bro. And they able to do this to y'all every time. Give you some false hope and false security and a damn president. Everything is more expensive. And Walmart and Target is sitting here telling you it's about to get real out here. Let's go.
You are going first. Walk us through your takeaways from today, because it's extraordinary, all that we've heard.
I was really glad to see that report because I was like you, Stephanie. It affirmed my sense that the White House had given 4 or 5 different types of guidance today that sort of...
That's because they lying. If the White House brings out 4 or 5 different type of guidance in one day, that means something is wrong. Something is wrong. if Trump telling you they've been negotiating with China and then China get on the news and say that's fake news, something is wrong. But y'all good old boys don't want to hold Trump accountable. And listen, I'm the same guy that was obliterating Kamala Harris. I'm the same guy that was obliterating Joe Biden. This shows you that I'm just going to go in on everything. You know what I'm saying? I don't have no biases. I'm not politically connected. Them people don't want me in those circles. They don't want me amongst the Anton Daniels. They don't want me amongst the Hodge twins, even though I would be considered more conservative. They don't want me among them people because I'm going to call it how I see it. Whether it's regarding race, politics, religion, the economy, I'm going to call it like I see it. And ain't nobody finna control me or my platform. So I can fit some political narrative. The boss says you ain't conservative. Yeah, I am. I'm definitely considered conservative because I believe a man and a woman should be the only ones that can marry each other. And I don't believe it's over 2,000 genders. And in this world, that's conservative. Let's go.
Jerk the market up, jerk it down. It was up as much as 1,000 points. And I think there was a bunch of relief. And look, whatever the market does right now, we're still down 8%.
Double tap your screen to like the video.
Which is trillions of dollars of market cap.
Damn, trillions of dollars of market cap. Look, it says Trump considers slashing China tariffs to de-escalate the trade war. He's going to folding. And when he folds, trust and believe, I'm going viral. Because I'm calling it. And y'all going to remember, Bree, you called it. And if he doesn't fold, you can look out for, these shelves to be empty and prices to be sky high. Now, here's the good, the bad, and the ugly. If he folds, America's no longer the number one superpower. So what does that mean? The dollar stays in the trash can and America pretty much loses all its allies. And if they decide to go to any war, nobody's going to really back them. Right? And that's a bad thing. And we're going to see a slow decline. Now, if America decides that they're not going to fold and they're going to keep on going against China in this trade war, then you're going to see a civil war. You're going to see chaos in the streets. You're going to see all those purge movies come true. You're going to see looting take place in various cities. That's what's going to happen. Or he's going to fold and then slowly, we continue to dilapidate. Hold on. What did they do? Did they freeze my chat? Hold on. Let me fix this. They're always on this nonsense. Hold on real quick. There we go. That's the only two options for Babylon. That's right.
From before Liberation Day. So when you say, I think you made the right point there, Stephanie, that if we go back to 50 or 60, that's no relief at all. Even if we go back to the 10% across the board, the market really hated that as well.
Here's what's crazy, though. Despite all the money that's lost.
Wait, that wasn't crazy? Wait.
Yeah.
That wasn't crazy? This is crazy.
Okay, you're right.
Yeah,
You know what?
okay,
You're right. That is crazy. But I'm going to give you something crazier because I keep hearing this from sources, and every time I hang up the phone, I blow my mind. It blows my mind. Despite all the money lost, despite all the panic, all the headaches, all the tariff war rooms in offices around the country, I keep hearing the same thing. If Trump were to walk out tomorrow and just say, I made a mistake, or I made a mistake on all the countries except for China, let's just focus on that and start over, he'd be forgiven. People are that desperate to have this behind them.
No. Ha, no. Is this woman unaware of BRICS? Is she unaware how people really feel about America and Donald Trump? Oh, you think that the world powers and the leaders of all these countries just have the utmost respect for Donald Trump and they're going to forgive him for causing all this confusion and chaos? No, they're already working on ways to outsource the American dollar. That's what's happening in real time. Sunshine, thank you for the contribution. I appreciate it. It says people are under a strong delusion. Lies have become truth and truth lies. This world is collapsing in real time. Stay diligent and prepared. That's what I'm saying. People are so scary out here. They don't want to believe the truth because they're afraid. Embrace the truth. The truth shall set you free. Stop living in this delusion. Trump got you thinking that everything is okay when it ain't okay. Some of y'all out here are following Papa Trump. Even you so-called Negroes in here, glazing, following Papa Trump. You're supposed to be the leaders of your own nation, of your own people. You're supposed to be the president of your own people. You're supposed to have your own border control. And y'all, listen, y'all over here glazing a person who's running the Roman Empire. Go get your own damn empire. What are you talking about? You're supposed to have your own everything. You're supposed to be policing your own environment, making your own political moves, signing your own damn executive orders. That's what we're supposed to be doing, signing our own executive orders. And you relying on Daddy Trump. You Negroes better man up and get some damn wind beneath your wings, partner.
My nigga Breed knew the time. I'm not sure I put it that way, Stephanie, with respect. I think what the market would then assess is that their outlook for earnings would be much more robust and for the economy would be much more robust than it was before this sort of tariff turmoil that was out there. And that then they could focus on the things that they really thought they were going to get, which was a really nice tax bill for them.
Oh, look what you made me do. The fire and tenacity can't be contained. Oh, look what you made me do. I shook up your Stockholm syndrome, huh? Make you feel a certain way. Some of y'all felt the blood of your ancestors for a second, just for a microsecond. Embrace it. Embrace the reality you in. Ain't nobody finna pull you up and help you. World don't give a damn about you. And neither does our president. Ain't no damn plan for you. Once they seize the land, they're going to target you first. Stop playing. You got to wake up, man. You got to wake up and see what the truth is out here. Anyway, let's go.
And some deregulation. Those are the things the market really was kind of banking on when it came to the Trump administration. So what's happening right now is you don't want to be short this market because of the fact that the president could put out a tweet that would be positive, and you can't be long because it doesn't look like we're going back to the old world we had, which was the previous tariffs regime. So
we're not going back to the old world. We're going to a damn Great Depression. And I want to let you know, let me say this. This ain't just no recession that's coming. We've had recessions, but we haven't actually had the dollar collapse. I want you to understand that they're using the word recession, but really what you're looking at is the dollar collapsing. And there's a difference. Oh, trust me, there's a difference. Because then various countries worldwide begin to realize that they got to use their own resources and their own form of currency. And what that means is America gets excommunicated from the world stage. And there's nothing left to do to her but send those fiery darts. Y'all gotta look at it like this. America is the only country that sent a nuclear warhead in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The only country to drop nukes on somebody. You think, let me ask you this. You think there's no repercussions for that? And it's the same country trying to bully people out of their nuclear, weaponry. The same country that's trying to pull up on people and accuse them of having weapons of mass destruction. The only country that used weapons of mass destruction. Think about that. Something to consider.
I would just say that what's happened right now is that it is pretty pervasive on the street that if this tariff regime remains, there will be a recession. I think that the gentleman you quoted earlier, Torsten Slot from Apollo, said he's got a 90% recession probability under the current tariff regime. And then you have this other issue that we've talked about, which is that the Fed will be absolutely frozen. You'll have inflation on one hand, you'll have weaker growth on the other. It's called stagflation, and the Fed can't really help in that situation.
That's right. The Fed cannot really help in that situation, and that's what we're facing. I don't think she agrees.
So even if Donald Trump, and I know,
Yeah, she's still in the. This is why women don't need to be able to vote. Seriously. Like, women should not have the right to vote at all. Like, women need to be cooking, cleaning, tending to a household, tending to children, and shutting up about politics. So with all the data and statistics and facts you just brung, are you sure, if Trump don't just apologize? No, ma'am. That's not how the world works. That's not how it works. Where's your family? Matter of fact, get a male pundit and then go bring us some cookies, ma'am. We're going to need some cookies. Bring us some libations and some refreshments, and let us discuss what's going on in the world. That's what's wrong with America now. Oh, people angry. Oh, I know. I told you you're going to come to one of the most controversial shows on YouTube. You may not like it. It is what it is. If I was the president, all you women would lose the right to vote. You can feel how you want to feel about it. You know why? Because women don't vote based on logic. They don't vote based on logic. They're like, well, I like this one. Well, I don't like that one. Well, this person seems nice. Well, this person seems mean. No. What about policies, man? Anyway, let's go.
no, he's now claiming he doesn't want to replace Jay Powell. Even if he did, even if he could, wouldn't that person in Powell's seat be kind of a sitting duck in an impossible situation, facing stagflation and a president who believes he works for him?
Ma'am, he's like, ma'am, like I just said, this inflation, this stagnation is not going to stop because, he goes apologizes. It's going to be irreparable damage because you just destabilize the world economy. Like, it doesn't work like, I'm sorry. I was just messing with y'all. Let's go.
Yeah, there is nothing good that would happen if the president replaced Jay Powell. Not only would it, over the long term, undermine the U.S. financial system, the dollar as the world's reserve currency,
Let's get Mr. Big and Angry out of here. Let me do you a favor. We don't tolerate disrespect. You can disagree, but you can't disrespect. So let's do you a solid. All right, let's go.
Bond market as the most liquid and risk-free market and important market in the world. You're right. That new guy or the new person wouldn't have very much flexibility either. What's interesting is they're talking about this gentleman, Kevin Warsh, a former Federal Reserve governor, who's about what they would call about the hardest money guy I know. I don't think he comes in there and cuts interest rates on behalf of President Trump if he were put in there. But it looks, let me just emphasize, it looks at this point as if cooler heads have prevailed and convinced the president to stop talking about this nonsense of replacing the Fed chair.
We're going to talk about that in a moment.
Yeah, she's not trying to hear none of that.
But I want to just play a bit of the mixed messaging that we've seen on trade policy from this White House. Watch this.
On this point, I wish to be clear. America first does not mean America alone. To the contrary,
America is not going to have anything good come until they reward God's people. They're not going to have anything coming until they truly repent, until they, step down from leadership. And, none of that's going to happen. They're going to fall in pride.
it is a call for deeper collaboration and mutual respect among trade partners.
I'm telling you, these countries are calling us up, kissing my ass.
No, bro. Trump is a wild one, bro. Nah, cuz he did not just say that. He didn't say that. He did not say that.
It has begun.
Yo, the pride. The pride. Nah, cuz. Man. Listen, bro. Y'all can lobby behind this nonsense if you want to. Hold up. He didn't just say that, bro. I know I'm tripping. I know I'm tripping.
Kissing my ass.
Did he say this on TV, bro? Come on, man.
Partners. I'm telling you, these countries are calling us up, kissing my ass.
Trump losing his damn mind. No. This man losing his damn mind, bro. No. Yo, this man ain't in that White House listening to nobody. He ain't, look, he in there doing whatever the hell he want to do. He said that look, China said we ain't even having meetings. China said we ain't even having meetings. Like, he lying. That's fake news. We're not even talking. Matter of fact, China pull a Uno reverse card and they invited Americans over for free to go shopping to undermine some of those tariffs. Somebody said this AI generated. That's what I'm like. No, bro. It's not. We on MSNBC. Like, this is the way he thought he should address the nation. Man, look, let me ask y'all this. What world leader is going to respect this? What world leader is going to respect, yeah, they calling me kissing my ass? Who's going to respect that? Yo, they plotting. They like, look, we got to get America the hell out of here. They done lost their rabbit ass mind. You know this fool on the news talking about we calling kissing his ass? Hey, look, let's link up with BRICS. Yeah, America, they got to go. They out here tweaking. They president, he out of pocket. Like, nah, we not finna do no business with them. Ain't no way, bro. Ain't no way.
I'm telling you, these countries are calling us up, kissing my ass. They are dying to make a deal. Please, sir, make a deal. Oh.
Yo, no.
Do anything. I'll do anything, sir.
Yeah, meanwhile, everybody focus on damn Shannon Sharp. Shannon Sharp got caught up with a 304, and, you know, he's getting what's coming to him. You brothers got to be careful. But other than that, this is what's really going on in the world, on the world stage. This is why over here you're getting global news, not local news. I don't really care what's going on in niggerdom. I don't care. You know, it's the same old song, same old story. I'm looking at what's going on in the world. Let's go.
Okay, so it keeps getting...
What does she say to that? Oh, man, you know, the news is very entertaining nowadays. Look at her face. Where did she come from? She just looking like, yeah, what do you say to that? She want to laugh. He want to laugh. He like, oh, shit, we in trouble. Look, I'm reading nonverbal communication. He like, oh, shit, we in trouble, bro. He ain't just do that. It's about time for me to move back to Portugal, Iceland, or Greece, or whatever I'm from. She think it's cute and funny. And she want to know what her response is. She don't know what to say. She want to laugh. She want to stay professional. He already laughing. His brain is cracking up right now. This is hilarious.
Pitch to us, Luke, that
Scott Bessent's the guy in charge now. He has Donald Trump's here, and there he is, basically quoting Janet Yellen, saying America first isn't America alone. You know, it's not America alone. We need partnerships. We need collaboration. And there's Donald Trump saying, yeah, they're kissing my ass.
Oh, no. Why did he do that? Why did Trump say that, bruh?
Well, I will say
that should be all over headlines. Trump says all the world leaders are kissing his ass. Put that right there on the New York Times. Put that on the New York Times right there. I know the Americans, look, all the consumers are suffering right now. Don't worry about it. Everybody around the U.S. is lined up, puckered up. Like Trump act like Vince McMahon, bro. He act like Vince McMahon. Like, are we watching WWE wrestling? You're fired. Yeah, he think he doing a WWE promo. Like this is damn SummerSlam. Bro. And these Romans are hilarious, bro. Let's go.
One thing I've learned about covering Trump, when he starts doing the bit about sir, please, sir, that's made up. Those calls didn't happen. Those are stories that he just likes to tell. So I don't really think that those type of calls begging is what's happening. I'm sure they are getting a lot of calls. We do know that countries are reaching out. We do know that people don't love the tariffs being put on them. They don't like the state of the world economy. And that's what you saw with the markets rebounding, with just a little glimmer of hope that we would return as a country to normal economic policy, right? Don't fire Jay Powell. Cut the tariffs on China. Like, markets are rallying because people want to see their 401ks do well. They don't like this chaos in the markets. And so, yeah,
I'm pretty sure they don't like the chaos in the market. But, I do believe that they're not kissing his ass. They're not they're not bowing to America. I think they're negotiating behind the scenes. Hey, listen, don't spam in my chat. Don't spam in my chat. If you post the same thing over and over again, I'm going to block you for good. We don't do spamming on this side.
I don't really think Trump and Bessent are always on the same page, but I don't always believe everything Trump says either.
But Sam, now the White House is leaking out these stories to sort of elevate Scott Bessent, to try to make us believe, right? Because for the last 2 weeks, people are going, man, I miss Gary Cohn.
I want to know what this guy going to say.
I miss Steve Mnuchin. I miss Jared Kushner. There are no guardrails on this president.
Right.
So now they're trying to make us believe, well, Scott Bessent is the man in charge. He's going to help Donald Trump, and Donald Trump's gotten some bad advice.
Yeah.
But we keep pegging Peter Navarro as the one to blame. Peter Navarro's views are Donald Trump's views. Right. It's not that he's getting bad advice. Donald Trump has been expressing these views on trade for 40 years.
Yeah. Well, two things can be true. One is that, yes, this is Donald Trump.
Yeah, that's true. I was looking at some old videos of Donald Trump when he was like 30 years old and he was talking about tariffs. I'm like, damn, he was like on some nighttime TV show and he was talking the same thing he's talking now. So, Donald Trump has been on this whole tariff agenda for a long time now. Let's go.
Trump's worldview. He's been wanting to do this since the 80s, maybe even prior to then, and that Peter Navarro is sort of a reflection of that worldview. The other thing that is true is that Donald Trump can be persuaded to do things depending on who is the last person to talk to him. And so we get a lot of these stories about how Howard Lutnick and Scott Bessent are, strategic.
Yeah, Donald Trump don't even drink water, so I don't trust him. There's interviews with people saying that dude only drink Coca-Cola. He don't even drink water. They say all he do is eat McDonald's and drink Coca-Cola. How many of y'all seen that interview when they were saying that about Trump? Can't trust nobody who don't drink water, bro. Show of ones if y'all heard that about Trump.
Strategically running in when Peter Navarro is on the other side of the White House complex so they can just get Donald Trump's ear. I will note, to your point, there's been a lot of strategic leaking about how Scott Bessent is, talking to J.P. Morgan, talking to all these business leaders and giving them what they want to hear as a way to almost calm the markets, right? But also,
McDonald's and Diet Coke. That's what they said about him. They said that's all he consumed. I believe it.
ultimately, and you would know this better than I do, this stuff, this chaos, this constant up and down, it will have a long-term impact. And that's why you see the dollar weakening. That's why you see
the dollar's weakening. He's telling the facts.
You see in the bond markets. Yes, they may end up cutting deals, but if you're a foreign country, a foreign government, you certainly have to look at the long term and say, is it wise to put all our eggs in the U.S. basket? Or
is it wise to put all our eggs in the U.S. basket? No, it's not. Why would you do business with an egomaniac who is arrogant on TV talking about everybody's kissing his ass? Bro, America's about to be destroyed, fam. America is going down. And they doing it right in our faces. I know that we laughing at some of this stuff, but look, I'm telling you right now, the reality of the situation is they playing some dangerous games. And so when America is obliterated and wiped off the economic stage, don't say we wasn't warned. You've seen the behavior from our president. You've seen the behavior, how things was carried out.
should we start looking at cutting other deals that maybe can circumvent around the United States market?
Earlier today, there was reporting that Elon Musk, who is obviously against these tariffs, has grown frustrated.
So Elon Musk is against the tariffs. Yeah, I heard that, he was crashing out over it.
Frustrated with some of Donald Trump's advisors. Yes, obviously Peter Navarro, but to the point I just made to Sam, these are Donald Trump's views. They're not just Peter Navarro's.
Right, exactly. And I think the line that the White House used when they learned some of this infighting was taking place was boys will be boys, right? But I think when it comes to Elon Musk, you have this really fascinating case where he has been one of Donald Trump's biggest allies. He's been really out there with the Doge cost-cutting effort. And to see this sort of high-profile clash, obviously Elon Musk has his own interest to protect here. That is why he's coming out so strongly against these tariffs. But he's not trying to blame Donald Trump. He's trying to look for a different sort of fall guy, a different scapegoat. And they're trying to blame it on someone else so they don't have to come out and blame Donald Trump himself.
Steve, I want to read this to you.
Yeah, they always got to have a fall guy. Jimmy Jones says USA tourism is crashing. Fears of random detainment and deportation of tourists. That's right. That's the facts. Deceptive World, thank you for that information. Rhonda Maddox says he jumped side because he agrees with Trump, but they keep trying to pit them against each other. They have no other plan. Right. He jumps sides because he already knows that this ship is going downhill and he don't want to be associated with that. And we're speaking of Elon Musk. He like, no, my AI told me, because, Elon probably went to the AI. He went to his crystal ball and his AI was like, it's about to get real. You don't want to be associated with it. Based on my projections, that's what AI told Elon. Based on my projections, you finna be destroyed and you're going to be blamed for all of this. So Elon got up out of there. He like, hold on, I'm the head of government efficiency. Nah, I'm about to step down. I'm gonna go work on Tesla. Peace. I'm out. I'm out of here. My nigga Breed knew the time. That's what happened. He was talking to his damn AI, and they was like, yeah, it's about time for you to step down. Because the algorithm can dictate certain things. They can see certain moves ahead of time. Let's go.
To you, we heard today.
Let me see. Untold Legend says, bro, you're wrong on this topic. What Trump's doing right now is needed to be done for almost 2 decades. Well, this is what you do. You go make a YouTube channel and you talk about this. You bring your details, you bring the facts. You bring out all the evidence that back up your claims. And that's how you go about it. But I'm telling you, stop putting your trust in any of these people, any of these politicians. I'm telling you to look out for you. At the end of the day, this really don't affect my life at all. And it shouldn't affect yours. Not if you moving accordingly. Not if you already prepared for the time. Not if you already following the Holy Spirit. Regardless of who they have in the office, it don't make no difference to me. And it shouldn't make a difference to you. Them people ain't doing nothing for you. Matthew 7:6. Give not that which is holy unto the dogs, neither cast your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet and turn again to rend you. That's right. Let's go.
Day from China's foreign ministry spokesperson who said the following: our doors are open. If the U.S. wants to talk, if a negotiated solution is truly what the U.S. wants, it should stop threatening and blackmailing China.
That's the problem. They bullying. They threatening and blackmailing, and nobody want to put up with that. This is what the Roman Empire is used to being able to do. And it's not working. China's not going for that. So contrary to popular belief, there is no negotiations on the table because America is so prideful and arrogant that they can't actually come to the table, especially when you got somebody on the news saying that the world powers are kissing my ass. China, they are proud people. They're not going to go to the president. Let's go.
Yes, the president has softened his rhetoric on China this week, but does that kind of language make you feel like they're going to get anywhere close to a deal in the coming weeks?
Untold Legend says, bruh, China has been controlling the world for so long, they used our wealth to do it. Exactly. They did. But now they're number one. That's right. They're number one. They're number one. America was made in China now. They run the world economy now. Why? Because they have all the commodities. It is what it is. Somebody said, China is folding. You're reading fake news. No, I'm not. If I'm reading fake news, why is Target and Walmart warning the president that the shelves are about to be empty? Why is prices steady skyrocketing? Why is China opening up their borders for people to shop and is actually working? Use your mind.
Well, this reminds me a little bit of the pandemic when everybody on Wall Street became a viral infection expert, and now we're all trade experts and experts in game theory and what China's thinking, which is, I wrote down a list of things for myself that Donald Trump was not dealt a bad hand on China. Donald Trump dealt himself a bad hand on China. Okay, so here's one. He enacted tariffs that threaten to tank the economy, so that creates risk for him. He backed China into a corner, which every treasury secretary I've known over 20 years will tell you the first thing you don't do is back China into a corner.
Nope.
He made the Fed incapable of...
You do not back a ninja into a corner, bro. They're going to roundhouse the hell out of you. You do not do it. This is like Chun-Li versus Guile. When you play Street Fighter and you back Chun-Li into a corner, she do that leg thing where her legs start moving rapidly. She kick your ass so fast she lift you in the damn air. And then she knock you out. That's China. Guile, he's sitting back there talking about sonic boom, sonic boom, sonic boom. But guess what? Chun-Li, if you get close to Chun-Li, she whipping your ass. America got to be distant. It's all symbolic, y'all. Street Fighter. It's all symbolic.
Responding, so the Fed can't help. He's tanked the markets, the bond and the dollar, and there's no end game and no plan here. So
And I stand corrected. Ninjas are from Japan. But who cares? Because they all look the same.
Cards, 5 lousy cards. He dealt himself a 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, all unsuited, essentially, is what...
Respectfully.
He did right there. So it's a good thing that China has said it's open to negotiations. But the question becomes, I was trying to think of a metaphor for this, Stephanie. Tell me if this is the right way to think about it. A guy stole your wallet and your necklace. And he says, let's talk about it.
They know they look the same. You got scissors, cousins, and aunties. They be confusing each other. Come on now, y'all. And then they want to get mad when you confuse them. I'm not Vietnamese. I'm Chinese. Like, what? Japan, I'm not from no Japan. They get all pissed off like, well, look, y'all all look the same. Respectfully. It's okay. They think we all look the same, too.
And he says, I'll give you back your wallet. I said, no, give me back the wallet and the necklace. And the reason that metaphor may work is because Donald Trump invented these tariffs that he.
And by the way, you know, I rock with all people, man. I'm just being funny. You know, that's our culture, man. We crack jokes. You know, don't be, if you sensitive and you come over here and you get all offended, look, you're in the wrong place. This platform is not for the weak at heart.
Put on China as being commensurate with the tariffs that China put on us. They're not true. He completely made them up with a formula that we believe Peter Navarro invented. So I don't know that China comes to the table without saying, get rid of this nonsense and then we'll talk.
Yep, there you have it. That's the state of America. Look, brothers and sisters, I just thought I'd come through and share with you what's going on in the news. You know, if you like this material, double tap your screen, share, like. Let me know down in the comment sections, you know, what y'all think, man. Look, I say prepare. I don't believe that Walmart and Target CEOs is warning the president for no reason. It just kind of is what it is, right? Let's, you know what I'm saying, do what's necessary in our lives, but don't panic. Just know that the reality that we in should have some concern, not just celebrity nonsense and gossip. Anyway, y'all be blessed out there. Shalom and peace.